Mother Anna Schroeder comes home from work to her Morrison, Illinois home to see her daughter, Anna, who was waiting on her. Or so she thought, but instead of meeting her loving daughter at the door, Mom, Peggy, has a towel thrown over her face, and then she is shot in the head in her own living room. After that, the home was burned down in an effort to cover up the crime. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Thank you for being with us. But now, her little girl. What has become of Anna Schroeder? She's charged with murder. That's what's happened to Anna Schroeder, the little girl that Mommy rushed home from work to see. Yes, according to prosecutors, it was little Anna, Mommy's little girl, that covered her own mother's face with a towel before shooting her dead. I'm overwhelmed. You know, I think of all the times I race. I nearly kill myself trying to get home to the twins, trying to get the twins to school, trying to get there to pick them up on time, trying to get them to soccer, to piano, it's a constant race to do everything for your children, to be that mom in the Hallmark movie and the Hallmark card, that perfect mom, that perfect family. And that's what Peggy Schroeder was trying to do, racing home to get dinner ready for her little girl. She's dead. Joining me right now is a very special guest, a longtime friend and colleague, Dr. Bethany Marshall, psychoanalyst out of the LA area. Bethany, it's so great to hear your voice, even if it's over the airwaves.
Nancy, it is wonderful to be on air with you, and I feel so privileged to be talking about this story. It's horrific, but I'm glad we're going to be able to get into the details.
You know, matricide, as it's called, or parenticide, which is a slang term for when a child kills a parent, is extremely rare. Less than 1% of all murders are killing your mother. Less than 1%. But there's really no doubt in my mind that little Anna did this thing, because she then texts to her friend Rachel Helm that her mom is dead, and the little friend doesn't believe it, and little Anna, the daughter, texts a photo of her mother dead to the friend Rachel. And I don't know what's going on in Rachel's head, but then she rushes over to her best friend's house to try to dispose of the body. And when they can't figure out what to do, they burn the house down. You know, in every case I ever tried, Dr. Bethany, there would always be one fact that just tore my heart up, or made me the angriest, or made me sick to my stomach. I remember I noticed it the first time when I was prosecuting a carjack case. It was my first carjack murder. And what threw me over the edge, I had to leave the courtroom, by the way. I didn't let the jury see that I was upset. I had them excused, and I left for just a moment to compose myself, was this fact. A young guy was carjacked and murdered. Mm. People heard the gunshot, and they ran out of their homes. It was a nice neighborhood. And they see the young victim lying on somebody's driveway, bleeding from a head wound. Somebody rushed in and got a pillow and came out and put it under his head. I mean, he was dead. And they put a pillow under his head. And that act, to this day, I don't know, there's something so poignant and so evocative, the human mind and the human psyche. I got a conviction. The guy went to jail for life. Okay. But that pillow, that act of the neighbor. And in this case, it's a different emotion, Bethany. It's that the girl not only kills her mother, but thinks so little of her. She sends a Facebook picture of her mother, or a text of her mother's dead, bloody body. Bethany, what? Help me.
Well, and there's even more, Nancy. According to one report I read, Anna comes home and asks her mother to put the towel over her face before she shoots her. So I don't know if she threw it over her mother's face or she asked her mother to put it over her face. And it was a clean shot into the forehead. So you can imagine that this innocent mother, who actually also happened to be deaf, this is a deaf mom, who had adopted Anna and an older sister of Anna's. So this is an adoptive mom. Anna asked her to put the towel over her head. There's a clean shot to the forehead. Anna calls her friend Rachel, who actually happens to also be Anna's lover. The two girls are girlfriends. They're lovers. And Rachel doesn't believe it at first. Anna texts a picture of her mother's bloodied body. Rachel comes over to the house, actually tries to help Anna clean up the scene. They spend the night. They drag the body into the mother's bedroom. They spend the night together, these two young lovers, these 15-year-olds, under the same roof as Peggy Schroeder, the deceased mother, under the same roof as the corpse. And it's not until the next day, when they realize that they're never going to be able to clean up or dispose of the remains, that they decide to burn the house down. But you were asking a little bit more about motive. You know, in about 50% of these cases where daughters between the ages of 15 and 17 kill their mothers, and 50% of the cases, there's extreme abuse going on in the household, although I do not suspect that in this case.
I don't either.
No. In the other 50% of cases, what you have is something called antisocial personality disorder, where you have a daughter that has simmering rage, resentment, lack of conscience, detachment, abusive relationship towards the mother, and you actually see an escalation of violence prior or leading up to the matricide. In the cases where the daughter has been abused, what you see is the daughter reaching out to maybe social workers, teachers, other types of people outside the house, and when they're unsuccessful, then they'll kill the parent. But in this case, you probably see the escalating pattern of violence.
Here, there is no indication that this mother, Peggy Schroeder, had been anything but loving and caring and very self-sacrificing for her children, especially the daughter, Anna. And then I wonder what goes on in the mind of a killer when, for instance, Anna Schroeder, the daughter, posts a chilling message, a very disturbing message to me anyway, on her mother's Facebook page, telling her, quote, she would never forget her and she loved her. And she goes on in the post to say, quote, I don't even know if you can see me right now, but if you can, I just want you to know you were my best friend. She's evil. She's evil. She's pure evil. She's a little girl, but she is the devil. Okay.
Actually, she looks like it too. Did you see the photos of her? And she's big, kind of doughy-eyed, and her hair's dyed red. Both girls dyed their hair after the crime. They changed their hair color.
What does that mean?
Well, I think they were going to escape, but then Rachel, they were going, I guess, go on the lam or try to, evade consequences. But apparently Rachel went home, told her mother. The mother drove Rachel straight to the police station. Rachel confessed. It was while Rachel was making the confession at the police station that Anna posted this Facebook post that's so creepy. I mean, it really minimizes what she did to her mother. It's hard to tell if she's trying to cover up the crime and malingering that she's a good daughter who loves her mother, if she's minimizing it. It could even be that she's romanticizing the crime, that she's so happy that her mother's gone, that she does this.
Can you talk to us like a regular person? Please don't throw a lot of psychological terms on me. I'm just a JD, all right? I'm just a trial lawyer. Well, what are you saying, romanticize the crime?
Well, I think that after people in close family settings, after they commit homicide, often there's what we call a relief phase, where they're actually glad that other person's gone, that other person's not on this earth anymore. So the Facebook post almost is like a love letter, sort of glorifying, dancing on her mother's grave. Mommy, I love you. But really what she's saying is, I'm happy you're gone.
The daughter of a 53-year-old mother, Peggy Schroeder, is now charged for shooting her mother in the head. The mother, Peggy, whose body was found in their burning home, a home that she worked so hard to provide for her family, to her daughters. She and a friend waited a day, tried to clean up the crime scene, then set the house on fire to conceal the crime, according to investigators. Now, Anna Schroeder, the teen girl, lived with her mother, Peggy. She's now charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, which I'm sure is a malice murder and a felony murder charge. This is charging her in the alternative. That means that if you take this to a jury, malice murder requires the jury find some degree of premeditation. For it can be in the blink of an eye, the time it takes you to raise a gun and pull the trigger. That's all that's required for malice or premeditation. There is another form of first-degree murder called felony murder, which is very simply that a death occurs during a felony. For instance, Bethany and I go rob a bank. Bethany gets crazy and shoots a bank teller. I can be charged with felony murder because I'm committing a felony and a death occurs during the felony I'm committing. Here, it could be an aggravated assault with a weapon and a death occurred. There, just that simple. She is also charged with concealment of a homicidal death and arson. All of those are felonies. Now, here's the kicker, Dr. Bethany Marshall. Even though she's charged with first-degree murder, because she is so young, the state law says she starts in juvenile court. If she's convicted as a minor, she will be out in about 6 years.
That is so frightening, Nancy, because somebody who's this antisocial, maybe bordering on sociopathic, they don't attach to other people. They don't have a conscience. And when they kill, it's usually over something very innocuous. In most cases of matricide, when you rule out abuse, on the part of the parent towards the child, it's something so minor, like maybe her mother set a limit or told her she wouldn't give her an extra $20 to go out shopping or told her that she couldn't see her girlfriend, Rachel. It was probably something so minor that spilled over into homicide. So imagine unleashing this woman on society.
Now listen to these details, Dr. Bethany, and I want to hear you shrink it. Anna Schroeder allegedly texted the friend Rachel about what she did. Rachel did not believe her, so Schroeder sends her a picture of her mother's dead body. Rachel had her mother give her a ride to the Schroeder's home that night, and the girls tried to get the blood out of the carpet. I can't even imagine trying to get my mother's blood out of the carpet. So they go to sleep in Anna's room. Then they try to move Peggy's body to her bedroom, as you said. They lay her on the floor, cover her with a bed sheet. That is interesting to me. I've seen in so many homicides when it's someone you know, the perpetrator will cover the face of the victim. They continue with the corpse lying there, the bloody corpse of her mother, working on the carpet. Then they walk to Subway and they spend an hour having Subway sandwiches. And that is when Schroeder learns her dad, Daryl Schroeder, is heading to town. And she goes in the bathroom and vomits. Just pure guilt, I guess.
Well, several facts stand out.
Wait a minute, I've got something else for you.
Yes.
Then they walk to a store and buy cleaning supplies. They buy cleaning supplies, and like you said, Rachel, who is blonde, dyed her hair red. Schroeder, who is brunette, dyes hers black. Finally, Saturday morning, they set the house on fire to conceal the evidence by setting fire to the bed sheet that is covering up the mother. What does that mean?
You imagine burning your own mother. Well, Nancy, several facts stand out. First of all, the mother was single. She had divorced the father. And often parents who are victims of matricide are at greater risk when they're single, because often in households where there's an unstable child, at least if there's two parents, one parent can protect the other. So you remove a parent and then the remaining parent is more vulnerable. Secondly, the idea that probably this occurred over something seemingly innocuous, like I said before. Often young women who commit matricide work in concert with somebody else. They very rarely work alone. Usually they'll have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, somebody who's under their firm control. In this case, they spent the night under the roof with the corpse. I think that shows how cold-blooded Anna was, covering the mother's body with the sheet, although I'd like to think it was a sign of respect, like the carjacking victim, where the neighbor came out and put a pillow under the victim's head. In this case, I think she just didn't want to be disgusted by the sight of the corpse. I think that's how shallow, manipulative, cold-blooded, egocentric this perpetrator was. And in terms of burning down the house, she must have been enraged at her mother, because it was sort of like burn, baby, burn. I mean, that's not only does she shoot her in the forehead, but then she wants to burn down the house. And to me, that speaks of burning rage, but probably not because of abuse, as we said before, probably burning rage because her mother set a limit, or her mother didn't gratify her in some way.
Catch this. She researched the daughter, Anna Schroeder, children who murder their parents. This was so orchestrated and planned. This was not a spur-of-the-moment shooting. She researched it.
She thought about it. You know, it reminds me a little of Casey Anthony. Remember how she researched neck breaking and asphyxiation and all these things that Top Mom researched before her little girl, Kaylee, went missing. And not really thinking that she was leaving this whole trail of clues behind her. You know, it's so obvious. And also the pre-planning and the malice, the wish to get rid of this person. And I wonder what else could have been a motive besides, you know, rage and hatred. I bet there's something that Anna wanted from her mother that her mother wasn't giving her, like money or privileges. And do you remember with Casey Anthony, she bragged to one of her friends that she was going to inherit her parents' house? I mean, she really thought she was going to get these riches or this largesse from George and Cindy. And I wouldn't imagine, I think it's interesting that Anna was adopted. She and her older sister were adopted. And I wonder if in her fantasy world there was all this largesse and bank accounts and riches and that she would inherit that. It's just speculation on my part. Maybe she's not that far-sighted to think about that. But I would wonder if this was in her fantasy world.
You know, she was waiting at home for her mother, sitting in the living room, waiting for her to walk through the door with her mother's .38 caliber revolver. And the mom gets home at about 5:30, comes straight home from work to get to her daughter when Anna meets her in the living room and shoots her execution style in the forehead. Well, that's what I know. And I'm waiting to find out if this girl, this killer, can be, as we say, bound over to adult court. I don't know if that's allowed in this jurisdiction, but that would mean that she would be treated as an adult. I want to thank Dr. Bethany Marshall, my friend and colleague. Nancy Grace, Crime Stories, signing off. Goodbye, friend.